27/2017, you need to consider an amendment to the permanent right-of-way and slope easement agreement and the permanent water and sanitary sewer easement and the temporary construction easement for the Fairfield Southpointe, for the Southpointe Fieldhouse Relocation. Dan, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, what I would suggest is the next three items are all based upon the development. Probably the board would want to see the development.
They're all based on,
They're all the same project, the next three items. So it'd probably be good to have the applicant come up and give their presentation, if you're okay with that.
All right, please, somebody here.
Okay, there you go.
Matt Galati with Southpointe Fieldhouse, and Mike Salai with Windridge Engineering is here with me as well. Southpointe Fieldhouse, where we currently are on Cecil Henderson Road, is getting relocated because of the Southern Beltway. So we are moving from Cecil Henderson, a catty corner from our current location, to a site on Reserve Drive. We've been going through the process. It's a little bit of an interesting situation because it is next to Klinger Park, so we do have access. We've been working with the township for the past probably year, I guess, getting an access road through Klinger Park to access this piece of land that is pretty much landlocked. 79's on one side, Montour Trail is on the other side, and like I said, we'll be entering from Reserve Road and to the site. So with going through this whole process, originally Windridge worked with the solicitor and Gateway engineers to create a right-of-way for an access road and also for a sewer. After getting further along in the engineering aspect of it, we've realized that there's a little bit of an easier way to do it. We're not really changing 99% of the easement. It's just kind of where we're tapping into the sewer to make it easier on the sewer authority and the construction aspect of it. With this, we've also, for item 128, we have run into a little bit of an issue with the sewer authority. We approached Cecil Township and working with them. We're outside of the current treatment area for the Canterbury plant. So we've gone through that whole process. With that, they don't seem to have an issue, but there's neighboring boroughs that actually have to make a decision as well, so it would kind of delay our time frame for several months. So we've gone through and proposed temporary holding tanks. Ideally, our goal is to not have to put these in if we can get all the approvals before then, but with May being our deadline of opening the current, or closing the current field house, time's like the issue, so we're proposing this to be able to start construction soon. And then the last thing is the actual field house. Anyone that's been up there before or been in the area, we're doing the same setup that we have at the current field house. It's just going to be a little bit larger. So we've had more parking. The field's going to be one field. We can divide it into 3 fields instead of dividing it into 2 currently. But we got a little workout area, concession area, but like I said, it's going to be the same operation we've been doing since 2009 on Cecil Henderson in our new location.
What's the outlook? What do you think the outlook will be for getting to tap the sewer? And what indication do you have?
We've been working with, I believe it was KLH, who represents the Canterbury. They thought it was doable, but they said there's a lot of red tape to go through, so I wouldn't expect to have it done in a couple months, probably more looking at 6 months or so, but the Canterbury plant did not have an objection to it. We're just outside the service area now, so like I said, it's not something that would bring an expense on them, but it's going through all the red tape between the neighboring boroughs that have a decision to make as well.
Will you commit to, if you install the holding tanks in your operation and then they finally give you the green light, will you still plan on going to the public sewer?
Yeah, because where we're at now on Cecil Henderson, we don't have public sewage, and we certainly prefer that. So even going through the expense of putting in these holding tanks and everything, ideally, the best situation for us is to have public sewer.
How long can you hold off during construction, like, until you finally commit and actually buy the tanks and plant them? But what phase will you be in construction, like what time frame?
I mean, we'll certainly need to put them in before, prior to opening, if we're that far along. But, you know, depending on the construction schedule, the sooner we get started, the more we can have done, and we'll have the area, it's already in the plans.
Well, I understand that. What's your proposed, basically, completion time?
It all depends when we get started. If we can get started next week, that certainly helps, getting the land cleared and the grading done before the winter strikes. If we're not going to be doing that for several months, then that kind of delays the entire construction process. But like I said, with May being kind of our drop dead date of being in the current field house, we're already up against the wall. So the sooner we can get started, the better.
So you're shooting for May, though, to open a new facility?
Yes.
Wow. Any other, I'm sorry, if you weren't done, you done with the presentation?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions? It's basically something we approved, the rights of ways and things like that a while ago, and I guess that this is really came to us, we're changing it. Not adding anything.
Yeah, the changes, we reviewed the changes, and the change to the driveway was really a question of DEP wanting to make sure that the developer was responsible for the stormwater on the driveway. That was the reason for the one change. And then the second change to the sewer easement was just that the municipal authority preferred that they tie into a different manhole. That's the only difference.
If they get to tie it all, the authority wanted a different tie.
That's correct. So those were the only two changes to the easements. We reviewed the site plans. As you can see, the site plan up there is as we anticipated. As you see on their plan, there is the connection to the Montour Trail. If that connecting piece is ever put in, they'll be installing the sidewalk along the driveway to take it up to Reserve Drive. So that's a benefit of this project and this driveway being constructed. Everything will be outside of the existing soccer fields. That's the way the road's been laid out. And they'll be sitting down below the soccer fields, and they're just primarily taking their access from there as was previously approved. And you can see how the parking is oriented, and there's a stormwater management facility. We have had some issues down there with drainage from the other side of Cecil Hendersonville Road. So we want to make sure they're tying into part of the water course there, that it's not an issue. And, we make sure that that's really, otherwise, Mike's done a good job with the plans. It meets the requirements for the parking. Matt actually went and had a special parking study done to make sure that they had adequate parking for the facility based upon the size. They studied a number of different locations with the same type of application. And Mike Herberman from our office has reviewed that parking study and feels that they're more than parked enough for this particular facility because it's not covered in our zoning ordinance. So we held off bringing it to the Board of Supervisors for several months because they had all these issues that were outstanding. And Matt's been pretty patient. He's gotten us a lot of answers along the way to get to this point. So just to give the board a little more background.
These unique kind of operations are kind of hard to have an ordinance that addresses everything like that. When the isoplex went in years and years ago in Southpointe, we had a clue what an isoplex would need for parking, and you depend on that owner and the developer to come up with what, in their expertise, works for them. And it's the same thing here. This is kind of a unique thing, so our ordinance, it's hard to anticipate when an ordinance is written for something like this. So I hope it works for you. Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, can you point out to myself and the public, where would the tap-in be that maybe goes to Canterbury? Does that come through the back end of the property, or would that be eventually going through Klinger,
No.
Township Park?
Eric, the easement actually comes up through Klinger Park, and it's been strategically put there through the center around the existing fields. And it ties in across the parking lot to a manhole right at
Can you point for him with this?
He's got the point on that.
Yeah. Bruce has it, right at the rear of the reserve apartments. There's a manhole there, and that easement was put in place so that they could tie in through the park and Actually, they'll be putting a force main in, because they'll be pumping up the hill. Be a shallow installation, won't affect the operation of the park, and, those details will be worked out and brought back for final approval. They're not representing that on this plan. They still need to go through the planning process to get that approved by both Canonsburg Houston Joint Authority, I think Canonsburg Borough, and the Cecil Township Municipal Authority, and your board. So they have a lot of steps to go with the sewage to get it.
And the proposed holding tanks are where? Could your cursor point to that?
The holding tanks would be at the rear left of the building, they'd be underground, and if he gets the approval from the sewage authority, then he can just put a pump in there and they can pump it up through the park.
What corner of the building?
Right there, Mr. Wallace is pointing right in there.
So the opposite side of where the tie-in is.
Yeah, the recreation and the bathroom facilities are all on the left side of the building, so it does make it a longer run to pump it up the hill.
Will they install a pump for that? So they're ready for the time, or they put the pipes in?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely, we put pipes in before, because of the paving and everything else.
Right, so what they'll do is they'll plan like they're going to put it in and put the pipes in through the sewage from the tank, get it over to the easement location so that they don't have to rip anything up after the fact, and be prepared once the plan is approved to put in the public sewage. And I think the tanks are double the size of what they have now at their other facility.
Which is how big?
2 5,000 gallons.
You have to, what do you empty those every couple of weeks?
Yeah, it depends on the season. Winter time, we're busier, so the current field house, we pump those out probably every 10 days. In the summertime, it'll last, 25 days or so. Just depends on the usage.
In the summer, most people go outside in the woods, huh, behind a tree.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a thought. What was maybe Dawn would know. Our plan was to tie into that sewage as well through Canonsburg, or is that the ultimate plan maybe for?
For the park? For
Yeah.
the park, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we would tie into the same system and tie in for the park when something is built. So the planning that they're doing will actually get us to that point also, because I'm not sure if the line comes right to the edge of the reserve or whether it comes through Planet Park.
Dan, from what I remember, it's into Clinton Park for us. It was extended, so it reached our property. So if we built concession stands and bathrooms, we could tie into it.
Yeah, I agree with you. The question is that within Canonsburg Service District?
Oh.
Because that's what they're running into. It's not a matter of capacity or anything like that. This is just a paper exercise where, you can't go outside and service customers outside of your district. There's plenty of sewer there, plenty of capacity, everything's in place physically. This is just a matter of putting the paperwork together to officially say it's okay.
Well, that's going to help us, because if we would eventually apply to tap it, it might have surfaced that, hey, that's not in their service area. We might have to start that same red tape you're doing, so that's going to resolve it for us also.
Actually, it'll benefit, yes.
But his that sentence was that it was just outside of the service area.
Correct.
Yeah, the reserves are already in the service area. So like Dan said, it's either a reserve, it's just a different watershed. So at some point, the crest of the hill sends water one way as opposed to back to Canonsburg. And unfortunately, we're on the other side of the hill. I just don't know where Clinton Park lines up on it.
It's the same. It goes towards your property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're over the hill. Yeah.
we're over the hill.
Any other questions? Comments? We still have to take them one at a time, though. We're going to start with the first one on 127.